Ba, ba. What's up, everybody? How we doing? How's everyone doing? Happy Friday. How is everyone doing? The chat section does not seem to be working. If you guys are watching this live, can someone try writing something in the chat section? It looks like there's an issue with the chat section, so it's not working. So if someone's watching this, would you guys mind posting something, just saying hello in the chat section? I just want to see if something comes up. Because as of right now, everything's working with the live, but the chat section doesn't seem to be working. So I guess if you're not able to, you won't be able to communicate that you're not able to. So I may just have to do this one like full-blown monologue style. So again, if you guys are watching this, someone try writing something in the chat section. Let me know if you're able to. I think there's just some sort of technical glitch that I just sort of noticed where it won't fucking let me see. So if you guys can try writing some in the chat section, let me know. I mean, you won't be able to let me know, but the live's working. So, and in order to end this live and restart again, it'd be too much of a hassle. So we're not going to go down that road. We're just going to kind of work with what we have here. This is the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so just let everyone know the chat section is not working. If you guys are watching this live, I appreciate you guys tuning in on your Friday, wherever you guys are coming in from the world. I guess if you're coming in from Europe or somewhere, it's probably late at night, Friday night, middle of the night, just before bedtime, sort of on Friday night. And if you're like me, you're here in Pacific Standard Time in North America. It's about lunchtime on Friday. So hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's doing good. What I kind of wanted to talk about today was, I want to try and bring a little bit of levity, because if you guys have, been kind of going on this sort of journey with the past couple months, let's say since it feels like since the beginning of September, end of August, and what are we now? We're October 25th, that the shit's just been really, really dense, right? There's been crazy amounts of dense energy, right? These solar flares, the eclipse, all this different crazy energy, this portal. And so many of these lives we've been talking about ancestral unworthiness, and we've been talking about just some like heavy shit, right? Because it's been heavy. It's been really, really heavy. So today I wanted to kind of have the topic be a little bit lighter, to try and just infuse a little bit of levity, which actually is so important to the process, right? Because I think what happens in this journey, you guys, we get so much, and this is one of my big fucking hangups with the spiritual industry, where everything's like about shadow work, everything's about like density and processing. Like we're always processing something. We're always kind of working on ourselves. Like I have this funny free challenge that I'm gonna launch at some point. I've had this idea for a while, where it's basically just called "Fuck Healing, Start Living." And it's basically like going to be a situation where you get a video in your inbox every single morning for 30 days, but it's like a real comedic video. And you have like one task every single day, which is about, which is going to be about living. So it's like going to be for 30 days, you do no healing work. No, you don't retain anything around healing. And it's just going to be a call to live for 30 days. And the video that will come into the people's inbox will basically be me kind of doing a bit about something will make you laugh, something silly, something stupid, something kind of like making fun of healing. So it'll be kind of like the healing program. And I've had this idea for a while, and it'll be a totally free challenge sometime next year. But it's kind of this vein, you guys. Like, if we're not doing this work so that we can experience more joy, why the fuck are we doing this? If we're not doing this work so we can experience more joy, why the fuck are we doing this? Again, if you guys are tuning in, that the chat section is not working. I can see that people can like the video, but you can't comment. So there's just a technical glitch. So we just doing this monologue style, baby. But if we're not doing this, you guys, to experience more joy, then why the fuck are we doing it? Right. So it's one of my big hangups with the spiritual industry where everyone is like, it feels really heavy. It feels like, everyone got fucked by a tree. It feels like a wet paper bag or like a wet blanket. Like everything's heavy. Everything's dense. Everything feels like it weighs like a million tons, right? And when I think of someone who's connected to God, connected to the divine, their energy feels really, really light, right? Their energy feels really light. Like, you could imagine like a woman. You see across a crowded room, her cheeks are rosy. She's got the radiance of the goddess infused through her face and her eyes. And she feels like she walks across the room and she's like fucking floating. She's like walking on a cloud. You know what I mean? That's a woman who's tapped into God. She doesn't feel like heavy, like, ooh, you know what I mean? We feel light. We feel light. And so joy is the integration, you guys. If we're not doing this to experience more joy, then why the fuck are we doing this? We want to be able to do this work, do this healing work so that we can experience more joy, that we can be freed up to live more. Also in the spiritual industry, there's this idea, that we hammer home with like spiritual discipline, with spiritual practice, when really I view God as a fucking gangster. Like I straight up view God as a fucking gangster. Like he's riding in that car with like a G'd out granny and he's got like, maybe smoking a fucking spliff or something. And they got like hydraulics and it's fucking just God and granny, man. And they're fucking just cruising down the street. Just the whole shit's bouncing. Like that is straight up how I view God, where it's your capacity to be uncaged, unhinged in yourself and your expression. Meaning there's like no parking brake on who you are. There's no lever on your authenticity, that you're literally living your most authentic spirit. And so I always find, you guys, that something is really integrating when I'm really starting to want to play, want to laugh, want to be in joy, where everything is fucking funny. Everything is funny to me. Like that's how I know when something is integrating. Obviously, we go through these portals, you guys, and everything in this portal has been pretty dark and it's been pretty dense and it's been heavy. And these motherfucking ancestors won't leave us alone. And they keep just, we got great grandmother and we got great grandfather, and they're just fucking up our space right now. They keep coming in. And so it's dense and heavy as we move through the portal. But then when something really begins to integrate, we feel, whoa, like there's more possibilities for our life. We feel more freed up for joy, right? We feel more freed up for joy because here's the thing. It's just as vulnerable showing someone in your grief as it is showing someone in your joy and your radiance. So often why people, even in the spiritual communities, are always dense and heavy, it's because in ways addictions have been transferred to this sort of addiction with the spiritual space of processing, working on myself. I'm an enlightened, aligned human being because I do all this fucking work on myself. But the thing is, if you don't get to a place where there's more joy, more radiance, more freedom, more of this God is a gangster energy, more God is a gangster energy, where you kind of move into more of your inner G, your inner authenticity, then something's not actually integrating. If you stay dense, if you stay heavy, something's not moving, something's stuck. You're actually not able to hold the capacity of God. Isn't that funny, you guys? How we talk about God and preaching God to come into this space of the divine, when actually the very thing that we say we want, we're not actually embodying or we're afraid of, which is our joy. Which is our joy. If we can't access and hold and infuse joy all through our body, we can't actually hold God. That's the integration. Joy is the integration of God. If we can't hold our joy, it means we can't hold the divine. What we're trying to do is we're trying to move to a space of ecstasy in the body, this sort of orgasmic state where we can hold the pleasure and ecstasy all through our body, all through every sort of chakra and energy center, that we can hold that ecstasy and pleasure. I call this the divine frequency. Other people, I think it might be, her name is eluding me, calls it the orgasmic state. But this is where we're able to hold freedom in the flesh. Think about how many people, are living so contained, so controlled. It's like when they speak, their throat chakra is fucking grabbing. They're not able to move into their uncaged and their unhinged, authentic vibration. They're living how they should or what they think they should do. They don't want to repel people, so they dim and they mute important, unique aspects of themselves. They don't allow their freak flag to fly. They try to play within the lines because that's what they think people want. Something's not integrating. God is a gangster. God is a gangster. When something's integrating, there is this unfused lightness and this joy that comes through you. You want to have fun. You want to make a dick joke. You don't take yourself too seriously. That's the cosmic joke. People that take themselves too seriously with their spirituality are playing with the confines of a recreated matrix. The ego has identified this place of what it should be. When really what happens is that our joy is infused all around us and we allow our unique nature just to be abundant within us. Joy is the integration, you guys. Too much shadow work. Too much healing work. If we're not doing this work so we can live more free, why are we doing this? So often what happens, we do this for the next piece of healing work, the next piece of healing work, the next certification, the next certification. And when we do that, our body's not actually attuned to this process, which is all about more joy. And it's because we're afraid of the vulnerability of our joy. Think about how vulnerable that is for some people. What would happen if someone witnessed you the deepest possible laugh? You know, when people have the deepest possible laugh, it means they've experienced the deepest possible layers of pain. Joy is about a really, really good laugh. You have this really deep of the earth laugh that when you laugh, it comes all the way from your toes. Because you've experienced the deepest amount of pain, I'm not talking about a bypass. A bypass is when you move into the joy as a way that you're trying to bypass the process of the pain that you haven't moved through. But when we continue to live in pain, something's not integrating. We're stagnant. And in many ways, is we're not ready to complete the process. We're afraid to complete the process, which is moving into our joy, which is allowing the world to see your radiance. Imagine if you were on an island showing your entire ancestral lineage, great-grandmother, great-great-grandfather, the entire lineage. Look at me free. This is me completely free. There are no chains on my spirit. I am totally unbound, uncaged in my divinity. Look at it, the smile on my face, the laughter that consumes and moves all around me. Look at how free I am. Think about the vulnerability of that. I am free. I am completely free. When you're around someone and their soul is free, that shit just hits differently. It opens you up and you feel more of yourself. You feel more inspired of who you could be and who you could become. There are no limits. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go to a place, you guys, where we take off the chains and the cords that get in the way from the uncaged vibration of our spirit, to live the deliverance and joy of who we are. So many people in the spiritual space get stuck in shadow work. Shadow work is important, yes. But what happens is if we continue to live there, we're actually living in some form of stagnation. If we're living in the pain and we're continuing to live in the darkness and the density, something is not integrating. This is what I learned when I went through my initiation, you guys. I was like in this recurring process of shadow work and meeting my shadow over and over. And I'm like, someday, one day, I'm going to get to the joy. And there was some truth to that. One day, someday, I'm going to cross the bridge and I'm going to get to the deliverance. And there was some truth in that. But then what actually happens is that we stay there for so long, we actually realize that we're actually playing a part in our suffering. We're actually the one that's getting in our own way because we don't have the capacity to hold the light. We don't have the capacity to hold the light. And it feels too jarring and too vulnerable for us to allow other people to see us in our divinity, to see us in our radiance, to, to allow other people to see you that free. And I realized that it's because I actually wasn't able to hold the joy. There is something that I was getting. There was something that I was getting from staying in the darkness. What often happens, you guys, these are ways that we continue to live with our traumas, our own self-fulfilling prophecy. We don't have to let the past go. So often we live in suffering because there's something that we're holding on to. There's something that we can't let go of. There's something in our past that we're still resentful for. There's an injustice or something that we can't let go. And so what we do is we actually live in this space, and I'm going to live in suffering. I'm going to live in this place of suffering. Crazy, right? As a way to not allow the injustice maybe I experienced when I was young, maybe a parent that abused me, whatever it might be, maybe an ex that fucked me over. And I'm going to continue to live in this dense place, because if I become free, if I live in my own freedom, then maybe I'm letting them off the hook. Maybe I'm letting them off the hook. And so we punish ourselves. We punish ourselves. More shadow work. Because we feel that what's actually happening is that we're moving into a vibration of forgiveness that maybe we're not ready for. And so we continue to suffer and suffer. But then what actually happens, you guys, is we're continuing to hold on to a familiar identity. That's usually that identity is going to be connected to a very big core T trauma, or a complexity of traumas that things happen to us, which builds an identity. And we built an identity, and we feel that moving into a vibration of joy, of true joy, of levity and play, then now all of a sudden we have to let go of that past that we're still holding on to. Maybe that means we haven't actually moved to the core root of that trauma. Maybe it actually means we're dancing around the perimeter of that trauma. Maybe it means there's not enough safety in our system to heal that trauma. Or maybe just what it means is that we have to learn how to hold the vibration of joy, which is the same thing. If you think about trying to hold your vibration of grief, try to hold the vibration of fear. Joy is a vibration that we have to learn to hold. And what happens as we ascend, usually what happens is we move more into the vibration of levity, the vibration of joy, the vibration of just total freedom. Then the body contracts a little bit. Then we expand into more openness and radiance and levity and play. Then we contract a little bit. It's an incremental process of having to learn. It's shadow work is just as important as joy work, as learning to feel the freedom, of learning to feel the freedom. But if we stay in the dark, something's not integrating. And so often people hold on to these dense sort of imprints and vibrations because it's a lot less revealing. There's nothing more revealing than showing someone your freedom, than showing someone how free you are, allowing that to be put on display. Because what we feel is that when we actually move into our joy, we're going to outshine someone. We fear that we're fundamentally flawed. We fear that we'll be abandoned. That if actually I move into my joy, that it's going to be too much for someone. Or maybe it's going to trigger other people. Maybe someone's miserable. Or maybe if we move into our joy, then all of a sudden we're going to take up some space. Think about being in the imprint of density and darkness and shadow work. You're not really taking up a lot of space, right? Like, sure, when you're really struggling, you reach out to people, hey, I'm not doing well. Can I have some support? There is work in that, of course. But sometimes we're living in that way because actually moving into our joy is too exposing. It's too exposing. Like all of a sudden people are going to see me. Because if you move into your joy, what happens is you move forward. You initiate, you move forward. You're not in one place. When we're in joy, things are moving, things are progressing, things are moving in the body, right? And so when we live in perpetual density, something's stuck, something stagnant, something can't move. when things are moving, that's when joy comes. And what happens in this process, you guys, that's how you really know you're integrating in a new timeline. When the joy comes, when you feel so fucking free, when you feel so uncaged and your spirit is full of levity. I know it's when I start to want to make jokes, I want to be inappropriate. I want to be, this is all a fucking joke. Let's have some fun. Let's fuck shit up. Let's be weird. Let's be crazy. That's how I know something's integrating. And what happens is it happens on this path of continually and incrementally being able to be more in that vibration frequency, more in the pleasure, more in the freedom, more in the ease and the flow in your system. Because so often when we get so used to imprints of density and darkness and shadow, we're used to things being so hard. We're used to fighting uphill. We can't allow things to be downhill and full of ease and flow. And so what happens is we continue to get in our own way. We continue to get in our own way and fight against it, because if all of a sudden, you guys, joy, you know what joy is? Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's nothing holding me back. Like, I'm just in the wide open here. Holy shit. This is terrifying. Where are the chords? Where are the puppet strings? Where's the shit holding me back? Where's the voice in my head beating me up? We freak out. We're like, this is scary. What do I do here? There's nothing in the way of the rocket ship that is ready to ascend and propel up to the sky. That's what happens. We're so used to the self-creation of suffering. Think about it. We come from caveman, cavewoman brains. We're always scanning for a threat. We come from this evolution of always, the very, like, we might get eaten, right? We might be killed. We come from that imprint. And so this space of learning to be, like, there's nothing around me. Like, there's no threats around me. Like, you scan yourself 360 and it's like I'm good. Like, we always are creating something. We're always creating something because it's an imprint that the survivalist nature of human beings are used to. Particularly our ancestors. Our ancestors don't come from this free. They don't come from freedom. They come from chains and restraint and repression and trauma and all these different pieces. So this place, because joy to me is very much just freedom. It's just freedom. There's no cords holding on to you. You're in the wide open. You're totally uncontained. You're uncaged. There's nothing in the way of you moving into the deepest possible expression of who you are, of creating what you want to create here on earth. There's nothing in the way. That has to become a learned space. And so often we stay in shadow work and density and darkness. Like, I'm always doing this deep work on myself because I'm an enlightened being. Yeah. I'm working with this person and this person. And we can't just fucking live, because we're like, if I don't live, then all of a sudden I'm not worthy, or I won't know. And so we actually take the power away from ourselves. We actually take the power away from ourselves because we don't trust that our body inherently knows what to do, and that our body inherently can unfold and bring us to this space of God within us. And it actually keys into this process where we don't have to work so hard. That our body knows this process and is attuned to this process. So we're always doing the next certification, the next work. We're in this vibration of just like, I have to fucking like stare into the eyes of my beloved every morning. We got to do this practice. We got to do this practice. I got to be a really serious person. I'm spiritual. I got to be a really fucking serious person. Well, we don't realize that if you can't actually just live in a vibration of joy, you're not actually in the energy of God. And so often we stay on the shore of the density and the darkness and heaviness because we think, for example, that this shows enlightenment. This shows someone who, this person has done a lot of work on themselves. This person is so integrated. Look how just like tapped in and serious they are. They don't allow the inner gangster to come out. God is a gangster. God is a fucking G. When you're in this space of like literally channeling your inner gangster, that's when you know you're in the vibration of God. when there's no puppet strings that are holding you. You're not appeasing anyone. You're in this space of allowing your spirit to be totally uncaged. How could you live as the most authentic vibration of who you are? How could you live as the most uncaged, uncontained vibration of who you are? What would that feel like? What would it be like being in the presence of your soul unleashed, of your soul unbound, where you're not appeasing to anyone? You're not appeasing to anyone. You're like, this is me and my deepest truth. This is me. And what happens in that space? It means that enough of our soul has become embodied that the expression and embodiment of who we are is our soul totally embodied within us. Totally embodied within us. And we, in that space, we can handle the rejection. We can handle the misunderstanding because we're so in tune and embodied with who we are and so in the know of who we are. We know what our vibration is. We know what our distinct, unique nature is. And so we can handle the misunderstanding or the rejection, or in a space where people don't see us and people don't get us. We don't need that. We can actually initiate. We can allow our spirit to initiate the space. We can allow our spirit to initiate the space. That we move into the wide open and just allow our soul to be on display. You guys, God is a gangster. God is a gangster. Joy is the integration. If you're not in an abundance of joy and you haven't been able to access that, something's not integrating. Something in the work you're doing is not working. Yes, it's important that we go through periods of density and darkness. But what happens is once we really integrate that density and darkness, a more profound joy should be available to us. And if we don't find continually a more profound joy and joy and joy, then we're in some form of perpetual stagnation. Some form of our identity or our ego holds on to the darkness because it's something that's familiar. It's tied to an identity. And again, as I talked about, right, one big thing is we're afraid of what happens when you move into that vibration of joy. How are other people going to respond to it? Maybe you're going to be too much. Maybe there's people you know that are unhappy that won't know what to do with that, right? Maybe people won't be able to get out of their suffering. They won't be able to be happy for you. They won't be able to meet you there. What's actually going to happen is when you're in your joy and you're in the unleashed vibration of who you are, you're going to feel the contraction of other people. You're going to feel the fucking repression. You're going to feel the contraction and you're going to feel the repression, and it's going to be on display. And what's going to happen is they're going to feel more of their contraction and more of their repression in your space. That is true. But that is not your responsibility. That is not your responsibility. Make people contract. Make people feel their repression. Make people feel that. Make people feel all of you. That is what you're here to do. That's how you become a lighthouse for the people that need you, the people that are here to find you, the people that need your energy and whatever medicine and sauce that you're here to bring. When you contain that, when you repress that, you actually dilute your vibration. You dilute your vibration. The people can't find you. You don't do anything great. You're run of the fucking mill. You're run of the mill. You're, off the fucking clearance rack, the same old shit. And so many people in this space are so worried about saying something that's going to upset someone. Ooh, I got to worry about everyone's trigger. Trigger the fuck out of people. Let's go. Trigger the fuck out of people. Let's go. If that's what you're, and you really having an accurate self-assessment of you and your unique nature and spirit and your vibration, it does that. Yeah, go. Gang, go for it. We're afraid how people are going to respond. And we hold on to different identities. We hold on to identities around suffering. Again, traumas we experience, right, become our own self-fulfilling prophecy. We stay in cycles of grief. We stay in cycles of fear. So often when we can't actually be, and here's a big thing, often when we can't really access joy, it's often because we haven't really, really grieved. We haven't really, really grieved. When you really, really grieve, you can really, really experience joy. But what happens is you have to be able to integrate from that grief to move to the joy. Sometimes we stay stuck in imprints of the grief because we're not able to say goodbye to something. We hold on to it. And our grief is our tie to it, right? Maybe someone passes, right? And we go through a grief process, but we stay in that grief. We stay in some form of that suffering because we feel if we actually move into the joy, maybe we're forgetting them. Maybe we're moving on. We're not living in memory of their life, whatever it might be. So we stay in an imprint of more dense and contraction, more stoicism. Because if I actually allow myself to move into joy, then maybe somehow I'm dishonoring them. When we actually integrate the grief, we actually move into a vibration of total, uncalibrated joy. And so that's what I've really, really learned on this process, that when you really, really feel the grief all the way, when you feel the grief all the way, eventually the clouds break and the sun comes. And then that moves into the integration. And that means that that density and that darkness has moved through you enough that you're able to move to the opening in the clouds. Like think about that image where you've just been sailing through a storm and the clouds break and you can hear the birds all of a sudden and the sun fucking lights up and you move into this space of integration. Now you want to be funny. You want to be silly. You want to fucking look at memes. You want to go see a comedian. You want to play. You don't want to fucking process a bunch of shit. You want to live, man. You want to go out there and live, and you want to. And what happens, you guys? And here's the big thing about this: when you move into the joy of integration, you don't need anything. You're just a fucking offering. You're just there as an offering. Look at this person radiant. They don't need a thing. Look at this person free. They don't need anything. You don't have to prove to someone anything. So often when we live in the density and the darkness and shadow, our ego needs to fucking prove something. My ego needs to prove that I'm evolved. My ego needs to prove that I'm integrated. My ego's still searching for something. I'm searching for something because I haven't been able to hold my joy. I haven't been able to hold my joy. Think about it, right? Think about religion, like those fucking Jehovah's Witnesses going door to door trying to get people into their space, or those born-again Christians that are trying to endorse everyone into their religion, and they get all triggered when someone is like, I don't believe in God. When you're in this space of joy, you don't have to conform or you don't have to enroll anyone in anything. Because of what you're feeling internally, the puppet strings and the ancestral cords are no longer holding on to you. You're an offering. You're of service in the vibration of God. When you're totally free in your joy and you actually create things from the vibration and connection of your joy, you're already free. You don't need anything. You don't need anything. You're already living as the deliverance and manifestation of your freedom. Think about what happens when you create from freedom. Think about what happens when you create from joy. You don't need a thing. You're already home. You're already free. And when you create from that freedom, now spirit gets that. Spirit feels the energy in which that you're creating from and you're delivering from. And now this is where the vibration of abundance really, really comes. And you get to move into sort of this divine exchange with the energetics of God because of the freedom and the joy within you. Say when you create your business through joy. Say when you speak through joy. When you speak and create through your freedom. When you relate to people through joy and freedom. Think about what happens in that energy. What's happening is you don't put cords into other people because you've already cleared your own cords. Think about that, you guys. Think about when you connect with people and you can feel their fucking dense, heavy cords coming into you. Like a starfish, the fucking tentacles are trying to latch onto you. Ooh, feels gross. But think about when someone's energy comes in so clean, so clear. Whoa, damn, this person's free. I'm inspired. I feel amplified. I feel freed up. I want to be in that person's vibration. I want to be in their space because you feel the cleanliness of their energy and you feel the freedom in their space. This is because you've done your own work to actually allow for the integration to happen. And the integration really happens, you guys. The integration really happens when you don't feel cords that are tied to you. You feel in wide open space. You're not getting in your own way. You're not recreating your suffering. Things are moving and you're allowing them to move. Think about that feeling, you guys, where you're in wide open space and you don't have those cords that are tied to you, right? You can allow things to be fun. You can allow things to be playful. You can allow things to be joyful. When you laugh, your laugh is not contained. You're not restraining parts of yourself. You're not holding parts of yourself back. You're not in a cage, you're uncaged. You're not holding yourself back. Your vibration is truly moving out into the world. And so often people in the self-development and spiritual space, they live in a very distinct vibration of density and darkness, and it's because their ego's holding on to something. Their ego's holding on to something. There's something that their identity gets from being in that place. And a lot of ways they're holding on to their deepest core traumas. They're continuing to exist in some form of self-recreated trauma spiral. Because then they have to let go of that trauma that hasn't healed within them. If they move into that joy, then we feel like we're having to let go of our past. When we move into freedom, what's going to happen? It's going to change our relationship to our past. We're not going to view our past with anger or animosity. We're going to see our past as a gift that brought us to this moment of deliverance, that brought us to this moment of freedom. And so often we hold on to shadow work. We hold on to the density within us as a way to hold on to our traumas, as a way to hold on to an imprint, an old identity, a part of us that we're clinging on to that's familiar. And we continue to recreate. It becomes our own self-fulfilling prophecy. And we can't move into freedom and joy because then we're letting something go, an identity, a trauma, a person we felt that did us wrong. And so we continue to play a part in our own suffering, and something doesn't complete. When joy comes from a deep portal of processing, we've been going through this portal for a couple months. What this is for, you guys, is can you hold more joy? Can you hold more levity in your space? Can you allow yourself to be more free? Can you allow more of your light to shine? Can you allow more of your unique, authentic vibration to pour through you? Can you allow it? Or will you still hold on? Will you allow yourself to be free? Or will you get in your own way? Will you continue to recycle the karma? Because if we continue to stay in density and darkness and we don't move into an integration of joy, something's not clicking. Something between the conscious and unconscious is not clicking. Because when we move into that joy, something is really integrating. People who are continually expanding their capacity for joy, levity, and lightness are people who are constantly integrating these portals. That's why this portal came. This portal came to, can you hold more joy? Can you hold more fun in your body? Can you be more you without worrying how it's going to impact other people? Can you allow your own unique vibration to move more through you? Can you allow that? That's what this portal for the past 2 months is about, as all this ancient ancestral unworthiness came. It's trying to, the body's been moving through this density so we can move more into the light, move more into levity. And that's how we know it's integrating. When you wake up and you're like, I want to be funny today. I want to laugh. I want to watch a fucking meme. I don't want to take shit so seriously. And you want to play and have fun and you see the cosmic joke and shit. You don't take your process so seriously. You don't take yourself so seriously. Yeah, I'm a piece of shit, whatever. People can sense that freedom. And what happens is it fucks people up who are holding on to ego, who are living within the confines of shadow work and density. It triggers them. It triggers them because like, this person's so free. Oh shit. And it reveals the holdings within them, the way that they're being played like puppet strings. It reveals their own contraction. It reveals the ways their ego's holding on to it, the ways that they're still holding on to these traumas and the identities of these traumas that their ego can't let go of. We're afraid for other people to see us in our freedom. Think about being around your family and imagine your family seeing you in unobliterated fucking joy. Imagine some of your closest friends. For a lot of us, that's hard. We go around our family, we contract. We go around the extended family, we want to contract. What would happen if you bashed those walls with a joy exploding from the seams and cells of your body? You didn't hold back. You went up to all those edges with your joy and said, I'm going to allow the light to shine through me. This is what happens with a lot of women. A lot of women are afraid to be radiant, particularly in the presence of women who are not very radiant. If you're a radiant woman, let that non-radiant woman feel your fucking power. Let her feel your fucking power. Same thing with a guy. When he's got a lot of powerful masculine energy, let another man feel your fucking power. Let another man feel your power. Let him feel that he's not as powerful as you. Like straight up. We always contain and we always try to control so we don't make other people upset. Just to make sure everything's okay. Everything needs to be okay, right? Our joy is integration, you guys. Our joy is integration. God is a gangster. God's a G. Like, why do you think his name starts with a G? Because he's a fucking G. Straight up. He's got a great sense of humor. You know, Jesus was a fucking comedian. That's one thing, you know, the Bible shit doesn't want us to know about Jesus. He was fucking hilarious. He was fucking high on snake venom. Some shit like that I've read and listened to on these podcasts, which may or may not be accurate, but I've heard that he was high on snake venom all the time. Like, he was a fucking G. He was a, you know, if you're a fucking prophet, man, you're off your rocker. You're off your fucking rocker. Joy is the integration, you guys. That's how we know something's integrating. In my process, that's how I know the timeline is coming, baby. That's how I know the timeline is coming. When that comedian aspect in me, that comic part of me integrates with the spiritual teacher, that's when the field is opening, baby. That's when my crown is exploding. That's when the new timeline is arriving. The new timeline is arriving. Because when that joy comes, you're allowing yourself, which means the crown is totally open. The crown is expanded. The crown is totally open, and your body is allowing it. You're not fighting it. Joy is allowing. Joy is you're not fighting. You're not fighting your freedom. You're allowing your freedom. That's joy. That's the integration. Shadow work, the density, darkness is important for a while. But if we stay there, if we make that our identity, if we live there, something's not integrating. We're getting something from it. We're getting some benefit, some way that we don't have to be exposed. Our ego's getting something. Because it would be too exposing, too vulnerable, too revealing. If we were to show people our freedom, show people the joy. So when the new timeline integrates, the crown is going to begin to open. It's going to move, and you're going to see more possibilities for your life that you can do anything. And you can do so from a vibration of joy. What you're actually doing, you guys, we're recreating the imprint in how we create and move through life. You want to make $1 million, you don't have to suffer. You can actually create that from a space of joy and levity and your own freedom. And we actually do that from a place, you're actually not creating the $1 million looking for something. The $1 million comes from an act of offering and being of service in your flesh. How can I be of service with my body and my energy? Now the $1 million, it becomes a brownie. It becomes some act of the vibration that is moving through you. You're not clinging on to it like a need. That's scarcity. Scarcity is when we hook into things. We hook into things. We're hooking into things with all these covert fucking needs from the ego. But when you create without cords, I'm already full, I'm already complete, I'm already the divine. That energy is different. You're creating from abundance within yourself, abundance of spirit, abundance of what you've learned to free within yourself. And the crown explodes and expands open. Your field becomes so fucking massive, you can hold it all the way down to your root chakra. The field is expansive. You can hold it all the way down to your root chakra. You can hold the entire frame and the field within you. And now you can create from a new imprint. Love doesn't have to be so hard. Love should feel like ease. Love can be fun. We can play. I can make money through doing something that brings me joy. How do I want to feel when I'm around people? I don't want to be around people that hook into me with these cords. I want to be around people who feel free. And we can amplify the freedom within one another. Joy is the integration. When the new timeline emerges, the joy will expand and the freedom will come. If it doesn't, something's not integrating. Every time, and we've been in this sort of cosmic portal for the past 2 months, what we're trying to move is into a more of space of levity and lightness. Don't make the darkness your identity. Don't make the density the place that your ego holds on to. Cut those cords. Move into more of a vibration and joy and freedom. Yes, I'm delivered. Yes, I'm totally free. Yes, I'm in my total fucking light and radiance. My throat chakra is so unbound and so free. I'm not going to contain myself. I'm going to allow my energy to land where it's going to land. Trigger who it's going to trigger. Influence who it's going to influence. Attract who it's going to attract. Repel who it's going to repel. That's all you can do. When you do that, you're living as your offering. When you move into greater joy and that inner gangster, that more authentic being within side of yourself, you're actually completing the chords and the cycles about moving into God and the divine. If you stay in the density and the darkness, trying to make sure everyone's okay, trying to be fucking love and light, got to be from the fucking heart chakra all the time, something's not integrating. Something in your humanity is not integrating. Something with your soul is not integrated to your body. Something with your spirit and your connection to God is not landing. When the unconscious and the conscious clicks into place, whoop, more capacity for joy will come. More capacity for freedom, for levity, for lightness. And then you're in that space. Oh, shit. There's nothing holding me back right now. We're so used to things holding us back. As human beings who come from survivalist nature, coming from cavemen, cavewomen, we're so used to things holding us back, holding on to. Am I going to be safe? Whoa. If I'm out here in my joy, is someone when's the other shoe going to drop, right? When's the other shoe going to drop? We're trying to bring ourselves back to the self-fulfilling prophecy of our trauma and the stories with our trauma. That people always fuck us over. People always betray us. I can't be in joy. It's too much of a threat. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. Oh, things are going to turn out bad eventually. Think about it. I remember I was golfing recently, and I hit a few good shots in a row, and the person I was golfing with was saying there was probably a bad shot coming. And I was like, what? Maybe I just hit great shots all day. You know, obviously you're not going to hit great shots every single time, but think about it. With human beings, we're like, I've had some good things happen. When's the bad shit coming? We're programmed to think that way. Oh, we always have to go back to a space of equilibrium. We always have to go back to a space of homeostasis. Don't get too high. Don't get too high, because then you're going to be brought down. There's going to be threats. Something bad shit's going to happen. Think about human beings. We're programmed that way. Oh, I've had a good week. Next week's going to be terrible, because everything's got a balance, right? Everything's got a balance. Why can't it just keep getting better and better? Sure, there's real tragedy in life and things do happen, of course. But what's going to happen is and those things are going to come, but you're not going to live there. Because what happens when bad things happen, when difficult things happen, and we have an imprint of density and darkness, that we continue to look for that as more evidence that we shouldn't be in joy, or that we're not able to be in joy, that joy is elusive to us, that freedom is elusive to us. Think about that. That what we desire is elusive. Whatever we do, we just can't get there. It's just out of reach. It's the same thing with joy. Whatever we want, whatever we desire, it's just perpetually out of reach. But when you move into this space and you move into this integration of joy, difficult things happen, you know you're going to move through this, and there's going to be deepening of joy that's going to come. There's going to be a more embodied feeling of joy. It's going to bring you deeper into your humanity. And there's going to be a deeper emerging into your authenticity as a human being. You know that. You've practiced that over and over. When these dark portals come through and you get submerged in the darkness, and I've been submerged in this darkness, but I know the new sunshine is coming, the brighter day is coming, and I can hold that. I can hold that faith and allow myself to transmute, move through the darkness, and my body's able to move more into the light, the radiance, the joy on the other side, and it's able to hold it more. And we got to learn to hold the vibration of joy, hold that good things can happen to us, hold that level of abundance. Because so much of why we continue to stay in density and darkness and we don't actually move into joy is because we can't actually hold joy. We can't actually hold abundance. We can't actually hold good things happening to us. We don't feel like we deserve them. We feel like there's something wrong with us. We don't want to outshine other people, because if things are going too well with us, then how the fuck are other people going to respond? People won't be happy for us. Joy is the integration. And when I move into the calibration and connection of joy, I know something is integrating. I know the new timeline is merging. I get behind the car with God, who's a fucking gangster, and we're fucking going on the hydraulics. God's got a big chain, fucking smoking a cigar. He's the G-man. And I know we're moving into this new timeline. And that's how I know something's moving. Something's integrating. When I'm like, whoo, I feel more of the lightness and the levity and the joy coming. And that's how something's integrating. It's part of what pisses me off about so much of the spiritual industry. It feels so heavy, like a wet paper bag, a wet fucking blanket. Everything's so serious. Their ego gets off on shadow work, which is important. But if we live there and we stay there, something's not actually integrating. God is a gangster. Joy is the integration. All right, everyone. I'm going to leave it right there for this transmission on joy is the integration. I really hope that you guys connected to what I was talking about here. Hopefully there was something that landed that feels resonant for you. Again, the chat section is not working for this video, so I can't see how you guys are connecting and relating to what I'm talking. But if you connected to this, please comment on the replay. Let me know what landed for you. Send it to a friend who might need this or who might resonate with this. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. We're going to be doing these lives every Monday and Friday, and I have new videos dropping every Wednesday and Saturday. So lots of fucking content to come. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in and watching this for however little, however long you tuned in. I felt it was necessary to bring in a little bit of levity here, because it is so part of the process that if we're not actually moving into more of the levity and the joy, then something is not integrating in the process. Something's not connecting. Something's not clicking into place. So when the joy really, really comes in a deeper way, that's when we know something's really beginning to lock into place between the conscious and the unconscious. All right, everyone. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. And thanks so much for tuning into this live. And we'll see you guys on Monday.